All right, we're live. Okay, welcome back, everyone. It is 1:30. And our next order of business is taking up committee discussion on the budget letter, but we're joined by Devin Neary via Zoom and Charlie Baker live and in person. Some questions came up in and around the organizations that you gentlemen operate and represent. We're some folks at the table are looking to get a deeper understanding of sort of your inner workings from like a budgetary perspective. So,
Great. Yeah, for the record, Charlie Baker, I'm the executive director of the Chittenden County Regional Planning Commission and kind of head our legislative committee. So which is why you see more of me, and Evan is there somewhere, I hope.
I did see him. Yes. I think,
Hey, can you
There
guys
we
hear me
go.
okay?
yeah.
Good afternoon. Sorry I can't be there in person. Devin Neary, Executive Director of Rutland Regional Planning Commission and Chair of VAPTA.
All right. Listen, gentlemen, the table is yours.
Yeah, thanks. How much time do I have, Mr. Chair?
We have 30 minutes blocked for this conversation.
30 minutes. Okay. So I'm sorry, we just did a budget, had a scheduled budget presentation in House Commerce. So this is the same presentation. Apologies that I don't think I've sent it to Nick, but I will share it with him after and maybe update the committee name on it. So, yeah, we were created to serve municipal governments back in 1968 in statute. We provide staff support and technical assistance, political subdivisions of state, and really work to help all of our member municipalities. All municipalities are members of an RPC and sit on our boards. These are the kinds of topics that we typically deal with. I think of them most as the place-based services. So we don't deal with healthcare. We're not dealing with education or kind of services to individuals. We're really dealing with how does Vermont grow and develop on the landscape and working with the towns, and also what do we protect and preserve also, right? Both sides of those things. Some quick facts. So this will maybe get a little bit more helpful for what I understood some of the questions to be. 11 RPCs, about 135 staff, plus or minus. I haven't done a head count real recently. So that gives you some sense of the scale. It's almost think about us almost as a state agency. That's probably, I think, maybe about the same as the ACC, Agency of Commerce staffing. And we have one of the things we do. This is FY25. We do an annual report, mostly reporting to all of our funding agencies, but particularly ACCD, because that's where the regional planning grant funds that is part of the budget request come through. So this is just a quick map, the numbers of staff. Our boards are made up of representatives from each town. So we literally work for the towns in aggregate. The boards approve our budgets, set policy, including our regional plans. We each have an executive committee, so a subset of the board that is responsible for the oversight of the executive director. And then we all have committees that work on specialties, transportation or brownfields or permits. That really means how do we engage in Act 250 or the regional plan, clean water, et cetera. Any questions on governance? Okay, funding. So I think we're going to get down to the tax that some people wanted to talk about. We have no general tax revenue. We have no ability to tax or anything like that. So about 95% of our revenue comes from state and federal grants and about 5% from town dues, which are technically voluntary. We'd have no way to force a town to pay. I haven't heard about any situations where an RPC has had a challenge in getting a town to pay, but it's also really largely around, we're a service provider and we're only getting paid when we provide services. Sometimes we talk about ourselves almost as a public sector consulting agency. So we bill every hour that we work. It's billed to a specific performance agreement. And that's how we get paid. It's all reimbursable. And so if we aren't doing our work well, then agencies or towns don't want to pay us to do the work. So it's kind of transactional in that way. And at the bottom there, you see, sorry for all the acronyms, but state agencies, ACCD, V-Trans, ANR, Vermont Emergency Management, the Agency of Administration, Buildings General Services, Public Service, the Health Department, and then federal agencies also, USDA, Economic Development Administration, Environmental Protection Agency, USDOT, and Northern Borders Regional Commission those are probably the typical revenue sources. And for some of us, we may have grant agreements going at any time with all of those agencies. And Devin, I don't know if you want to pop in. I think like my agency, I think we have probably like 40 funding contracts at this point in time. And Devin, I don't know how yours looks.
Yeah, that's very similar. I think we have like 50 open agreements right now, but those can range as low as $1,000 all the way up to our biggest ones. So we typically align across the core areas like our state grant, ACCD, V-Trans through the Transportation Planning Initiative, and traditionally it's been the Department of Public Safety too, as well through Vermont Emergency Management. And then we have a lot of one-offs as well, depending on a specific initiative or new legislation that might be implemented through the RPCs.
Any questions about who pays us? Or are there more questions about how we spend our money? And then just to get more specific about the budget request that we submitted, and thank you for giving it consideration. So this is the primary source of funding is the Regional Planning Grant Program. And that is funded, it's not in the general fund, it's funded through the property transfer tax portion of revenue. So we're in a bucket with Vermont Housing Conservation Board, Vermont Center for Geographic Information, which I'm not sure may appear in some paperwork now as Agency of Digital Services. I'm not sure I have that acronym or right. And then municipal planning grants. So the four of us are in that property transfer bucket. I think that got created maybe going on close to 40 years ago with like, hey, those or we, the four of us are kind of related to land development activity. Like we're helping towns with their zoning and the permitting process and things. And so the legislature made a decision, let's put that in the property transfer tax. Property transfer tax is kind of a indicator of what's going on in our real estate market. So I don't know, that's my sense. I don't know that for sure, but that's my sense of how we all got put into that kind of specified bucket. And there was a statutory formula for lots of years. It got amended in the last couple of years. And so I don't think we've ever gotten what the formula said. So it's always been a notwithstanding, here's how much you get. And so last year, this current fiscal year, 7.775 almost million. The Budget Adjustment Act that you just voted on. And my understanding is that there was a 1.3% decrease in the property transfer tax revenue. And so I think the Commissioner of Finance kind of came back to the legislature and said, let's reduce all four of those organizations that get money from the PTT by 1.3%. So there was just a little haircut of 1.3% that just happened. In the House, I don't think the BA is fully approved yet, but I'm sure it will. And then turning to FY27, we, consistent with what the governor had kind of directed his agencies of like 3% increases, we asked for 3%. The governor recommended 2.6%, which is 7.8 and change. So that's kind of the budget specific request. That looks like a big number, and it's used by 11 of us spread across 135 staff.
So,
Questions?
yes. Yeah.
Yes, please.
So that's, I was the one who questioned it yesterday. I was like, wow, $7.8 million. What do they do? So my question is is it divided up evenly? Is it based on the population? Is it based on, number of towns that are in each region? I was just curious as how it gets divided. And then I was curious as if it was an increase for what you previously had asked.
Yeah, hopefully that answers that question.
Yeah,
So to your first question, the really simple answer is yes. There's actually a formula that does factor in population and the number of towns. It's also, I think, the number of towns that have approved plans. I don't know, Devin, you may know this better than I do. Please chime in. But it's basically those 3 or 4 factors. So there's a formula that ACCD, the Agency of Commerce, keeps, and then so they sort this amount by the formula. The outcome of that formula has 2 regions that get more, which is the Kingdom and Chittenden County. You know, they have more towns, we have more population. And Devin, please pop in, but I think, and the rest are somewhere in the middle in terms of how it's divided up. We do have a couple smaller RPCs in that they have 10 towns. Kind of the more typical is around 20.
Yeah, so Charlie, I think it's 50% equal share, 50% variable based on population, number of towns, and then the property transfer tax receipts is like the rate at which the receipts are the proportionate percentage. So it's like a 50-50 breakdown generally between the equal share and then those town population and number of town factors are the basis. So that explains sort of the discrepancy between regions with a lot of towns, like Charlie had referenced, versus not. And we range. So, our 2 smallest regions, Lamoille and Mount Escutney, have 10 towns, and then our largest NVDA has 50, you said 55, right? And then most of us land somewhere in the middle in the 20 to 30 range. Like in my region, I have 27 towns. Charlie, you have 18, I believe. So we're somewhere in there.
so my next question then is, what is your total budget?
I don't think we know the answer to that question because there's 11 boards making independent decisions, but I think a good estimate would be up in the $30 million range.
Yeah.
Do you have that? Yeah.
If I can share my screen quickly, and I do have to hop off here in a second. I'm so sorry. I got pulled into a meeting one of our staffers is out for. Can you see this screen?
Yes. If you could
Okay,
blow it up a little bit, that would be helpful.
Yeah, so this is
Thank
from, just so you're aware, this is available on our VAPTA website, but this is the statewide Regional Planning Commission assessment that was done last year. And it's a great report. It was required in statute. There's a bunch of great information in here, but excuse my scroll. Don't go blind here. It's always a tricky one.
It's on the
Sorry,
left.
I was just at this page. I'm sorry. There we go. Okay, so FY25 here is and again, this FY25, not FY26, but this is the total budgets for all of the RPCs. So you can see the ranges there. It's important to note, though, that many of us have significant pass-through funds. So I will share with you our approved FY26 budget from the Rutland RPC. So you can see here the ACCD funds, $716,000. That's out of 2.8 million. So it's a significant chunk. Our local incomes, or our town dues, are 60,000. That's $1 per resident in our region. But to show you that sort of pass through of our funding, $1.2 million are pass through. So that's funding for things like brownfields that we carry the funds for, or clean water projects through the QUISP. So ACCD funds are by far our most important, most flexible, and most applicable to doing town work that's not directly tied to significant grant deliverables like we see in other grants. And then I just want to highlight to you as well, we've mentioned that we've had last year we had reduced funding from Vermont Emergency Management, and this actually has been reduced even further since we have not gotten the funds. So we actually have $0 in this line. So hopefully that gives some better context, Sandy.
Yes,
Okay, great.
absolutely.
I will. Am I stopped sharing? Am I still going?
You're still sharing.
Why is that happening? There we go.
Existential question for you. Representative Hango has a hand.
Thank you. Devin, before you leave us, I have a quick question for you specifically. Why was your funding from Vermont Emergency Management reduced?
So both reductions, last year's first reduction and then this year, were a direct result of FEMA reductions. So
Right.
VEM's total bucket was reduced, so we saw a proportionate reduction. And then obviously now with the funding freeze, total funding freeze, they're not getting any money, so neither are we. And so some of our RPCs have actually tried to cover that gap using these state funds, which are, as you know, are already very limited because we're using so many of them for Act 181 and our new regional plan updates. We didn't get necessarily new additional funding to do all this extra work. We just sort of baked it in. So I just can't stress how important this money is for us, and it is direct investment in our towns at the end of the day.
Okay, great. Thank you. And this is for either of you. Devin, if you have to jump off, that's fine. So either
Thank you. I
Devin-
apologize. I appreciate it.
Thanks for being here.
You bet.
Charlie, then. There's something called.
Last man standing. Yeah, got it.
There's something called the local planning assistance in that budget.
In his budget?
Devin showed us, and maybe you don't have it in your RPC. My question was going to be, do all the RPCs have that line item and offer those services?
I'm gonna say, my guess is yes. And I'm, I'm not, I don't know exactly what's in Devin's budget, but I guess, yeah, we call that municipal assistance, and it's where towns actually contract with us. So above their dues, they might hire us to work on their town plan or their town bylaws or typical ones, or sometimes it might be something else. Sometimes we do municipal project management, like managing a sidewalk project for a town. So I'm assuming that's what that revenue source was for him.
And in your RPC, since you probably can only answer for yours, is that paid by town dues or is that from state money?
That is a third category. So there's dues that we kind of get that are just generic, I'll call them, to help with our operations. And then these are project-specific contracts from the town. So it's town money where they're hiring us to do a specific project.
Okay. All right. And one last question for you, because we did get a request that we're thinking about approving from the Vermont Council on Rural Development for a one-time ask for a municipal technical assistance grant for funding. And that I would assume would help those towns be able to pay for your services.
Yeah, and I think you should ask VCRD a little bit more about what they intend there, because, I think even as I've heard them talk about that a little bit, I think we are one of the group
Yes.
of municipal technical assistance providers. So, I'm not sure how they're thinking about either splitting that or sharing that, or what they're thinking about in detail with that. But yeah, so I think it might be more to provide services to organizations like ours or VCRD
Yes.
to provide services to that town without the town having to come up with more money.
Right, and that's my understanding, and I think what I really wanted to clear up with you for myself is these municipal assistance line items or local planning assistance line items were not state money that you were giving to towns.
No.
It's actually towns paying you for various contracting
That's right.
services. Great, Thank you very much.
That kind of gets back to, you know, are we being a good service provider and people actually want to hire us to provide services or not? Which is a constant, you know, just customer service challenge for us.
I guess one last thing, just to build on that, to be perfectly clear, because I was having a discussion with our Commerce Committee,
Yeah.
individuals from our Commerce Committee today. And I think that there was a little bit of confusion about the RPCs having a program where you provide services to towns in terms of like technical assistance. Do you have a program within the RPCs that is funded by our state money that we put in our budget for that?
It's more than a program. To me, like, that's our central purpose.
Yeah.
That's why the legislature created us. And this $7 million is that money.
Okay.
So, and that's why we will start to talk desperately about it because it is like that core program that helps us provide. If a town calls us, we don't ask them to send us a check first. We use this money to answer their questions or try to help them. So this is that core municipal assistance money, really.
And have you seen demand for your services increase at all recently?
Yeah, if I put 181 aside,
Yeah.
which has been an insane demand on her of work, or amount of work. I will tell you that I know for me, like my budget grew, almost doubled pre-COVID to now. So things, yeah, more requests have been getting made for sure, and more things. We're more involved in like clean water work than we were maybe, and that was maybe a coincidence. I can't remember, was it 2018 that the Clean Water Service Provider law came through? So like that's been a chunk for those of us in Lake Champlain Basin, but yes, I'm sorry, the answer to your question is yes.
That's great. Thank you. Thanks.
Anything else from the committee for Mr. Baker? All right, thank you very much, Charlie.
And we all have audits and stuff up on our web pages. Happy to share any of that if there's more questions.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, no, that was a lot of very, very helpful information. So we still have some time till the next order of business. So any discussion around this request?
Okay.
I think it's really important.
Yeah.
I do think it's helpful though, with being bigger ask to just understand like where the money sources are, like the fact that it's just the way that you have formula distributed around different areas of the state. That's just helpful
Yeah.
for us
Yeah.
to understand instead of, even though we respect your organization, blindly saying, oh, yeah, you got money. This is helpful.
Yeah, no, it's very educational. So we have like, yeah, more nuances always. So this was something, taking a position on this as a committee for the budget request was something that we had on hold. Do we feel comfortable taking a position on this?
Yeah.
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 Okay, so I will call for favorable thumbs. I am seeing all favorable thumbs.
Yes.
Thank you for that. And you have several things in front of us, so I guess I'll ask for a committee judgment on this one. Do we want to take a 5-minute break now, or do we want to talk about more line items? I heard a yes out of Representative Benjo on the 5-minute break. On the motion for 5 minutes.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Okay. Yeah. We'll go off for